Greetings and welcome to this week's episode of the Pixel Crashers Podcast, a podcast where we discuss our thoughts on gaming news. I am Angelus de Mortiel, together with Kev the Gamer, if he's there.
Cat noises.
Yep. We're moving on. MajorStupidity.
What's up?
And Death Shroud 09.
Yep, I'm still here.
Still here, unlike Kev, who apparently disappeared.
Yeah, such a peasant.
He's
probably like going and dealing with red rings or something of the sort.
Yeah, with those consoles and their glitches and stuff. Anyway, let's go ahead and start off the podcast by discussing games we've been playing this week. Since, of course, Kev is not here and therefore cannot discuss the console peasantry, then we'll move on to Joe. What have you been playing this week?
Knights of the Old Republic 2.
And not Payday 2?
Oh, no. I haven't been playing it for a few months anyway, so... But yeah, Warframe, Knights of the Old Republic 2. Still playing through Metal Gear Solid 5, but I haven't played it in a couple days. I need to get back to that at some point. But yeah, Code War 2. What a good game.
Yeah, I've been playing it this week, too.
I just realized...
After they finally patched up some of the things that were problems with the new PC update they did, which was awesome.
Yeah.
The problem I had, of course,
do you run the restored content mod?
Well, yeah, the new patch they did actually integrates that automatically. It's actually awesome. Yeah.
I just subscribed to it in the Steam Workshop.
Yeah, the Steam version, they update it to where it includes the restored content mod.
Nice.
And that's why I've been kind of doing a playthrough of it. Cause I always wanted to
It adds
do
in
the
a lot of
HK
little
mission.
scenes. Yeah, it adds in a lot of little scenes I've noticed that explain stuff.
Yeah.
Like going through Nar Shaddaa shows a lot more of what's going on with bounty hunters, showing what they're doing.
Yep. Yeah. That's definitely one cool thing. Another thing I had noticed on there as well is that definitely supports a wide range of resolution. Previously did.
Unfortunately, KOTOR 1 still doesn't.
Yeah, that's because they haven't restored that one yet. But one thing also I had a problem with when I first loaded up was two things. Number one, there was the annoying camera panning issue because of my G13's joystick emulator would somehow interfere with the controls, and I would just end up with endlessly panning camera.
I noticed that would happen if I left the controller plugged in whenever I went into certain menus. Like, it wouldn't do it all the time, but if I went into, like, the crafting menu, it would sometimes leave the camera facing up.
Yep. The other thing is occasionally there's locationally triggered sound bites that play. Like you go near like an electronic generator or something, and it plays like a little buzzing noise. Well, sometimes you'd go near those and the sound wouldn't stop. You'd just like be running around the game with.
I haven't noticed that myself.
They fixed that now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's better. I was thankful for that because that made it very difficult to play. But I love the game because it's essentially D&D Star Wars edition. One of the things I always liked about it.
Well, as much as I liked KOTOR 1, I liked KOTOR 2 because it was so much darker. And I liked how it took a lot of the stuff that goes on in Star Wars. Like, KOTOR 1 was very much like, okay, light side, dark side. I like that KOTOR 2 plays with that a lot more. And that you're called into question much more like, how beneficial is it to be light side? Like, when I remember Nar Shaddaa, your mentor gives you an example when someone comes up and asks you for credits, and they're like, I need help, someone's begging credits off you.
And then it shows you, like, it's not necessarily good because...
Yeah, you give them the credits, and she brings up that by taking their problems onto yourself, adversity breeds strength in that kind of situation where it's like you actually rob them of a chance to strengthen themselves and end up weakening them by taking their burdens onto yourself.
But the best part of Nar Shaddaa, and I can't remember if this is KOTOR 1 or 2, whenever the guys come up and try to rob you, and you tell them, you don't want to rob me. In fact, you want to give me all your credits. In fact, you want to give me all your credits and run and jump off of that ledge.
It's on KOTOR 2, you encounter them robbing another guy, and what happens is you come up on the guy, and he's like, wait, that's the one who owes you credits. She has your credits.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Best dark moment is you're like, no, you don't want to rob me. In fact, you want to give me your credits. In fact, you want to give me your credits and jump off of that ledge. Bye.
That reminds me of this picture that I saw. I can't remember where it was, but it was like what happens when the when the trooper gets home, and it's like, but I knew they were the droids I was looking for. I
Yes.
knew it, but then I got all confused. He's talking to his wife after he gets home.
Yes.
I just love that. My favorite thing about Darkseid, though, in KOTOR 2 is HK-47. Every
Oh,
time I
gosh,
go
yes.
and just, straight up decide to just murder people or
Well,
completely manipulate someone, and HK is just like, you're great.
well,
And I'm like, I know I.
one of the things I loved is like when you ask him, HK, do you know what love is? And his response is extrapolation. Master, I believe love is hitting that perfect shot against incinerating a meat bag at 5,000 yards. And I'm like, HK, love him so much. You can't not love that
HK.
guy.
Oh, yeah. I love how in KOTOR 2, if you get influenced with him enough, you find out that he was he was created as a assassin to actually hunt down and kill Jedi.
Yeah.
And you can start asking him tips on how to kill Jedi, and he'll actually go into detail explaining what to do, like strategies to use, how best to
Well,
approach them.
he's not the
weapons
only
to
one that you
use.
can go about that because he's not the only other non-Force user that was a Jedi hunter. But I won't spoil that for anybody who hasn't played KOTOR 2 in the like 20
I think I know who you're
years.
talking about, and he is a Force user. You can train him to be
Well,
a Jedi.
you can be, but he actually originally wasn't. He was just.
Well, yeah, he starts off as one, but he's one of many of your companions who's actually Force sensitive.
Well, all of the human, well, I should say, all of the
Most.
organic companions you have are at some point or another.
Mandalorian, you can't.
Oh,
There's a
you're
few
right.
humans you can't. Mandalore, you can't train Hanar. He's a Wookiee. And yes, Wookiee Jedi exist. It's just you can't train
I'm
him.
pretty certain actually you can. In fact, you can get him to go Sith. I'm not
You
going to
can't
say
train
how.
him to be a Jedi.
Oh,
You'd have to go
I'm
and edit
almost
the
certain
save file.
because the way you do. No, I'm sorry. I think it was
You can't turn him
KOTOR
into
1. The way you do it is so deliciously sadistic. In fact, spoiler alert, everyone. Hold on. Before I say this,
I know what you're talking about.
let me put this up here real quick.
You're talking about Zalbar.
Oh, you're
From
talking about a
KOTOR
game
1.
that I will probably never play, right?
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
Yeah,
probably.
next to the Republic.
In KOTOR 1, the way you get Zalbar to go dark side is you get him to kill the Twi'lek chick. You actually get him to rip her apart.
What
It's
happens
fantastic.
is he owes you a life debt, and apparently, that in their culture allows you to demand of him that you actually have him murder the person who was like his best friend, who was following you, who refused to turn to your side, who refused to join the dark side with you.
But it's so delicious.
And apparently, if you bring Zalbar with you onto the Starforge, like the final levels, he'll actually go insane from the grief and end up actually. I think you have to either kill him or he kills himself.
Something.
Now, I have a random question because I haven't played either of the Knights of the Old Republic. I think I got both of them in the Humble Bundle a while ago.
You should play them.
I was going to ask, do I need to play the first one to get into the second one?
It helps.
I tried a little bit of the first one, but I couldn't follow it. You said yes, I have to.
I'll tell you right now, if you can't follow the first game, don't even try second.
The second one is much more convoluted. Like there was some story issues you could tell.
It takes a lot of time before you can really figure out what's going on because it doesn't follow. Like it has a lot of complex characters who aren't really simplistic in their motivations because it was written by Obsidian. So it's much more convoluted, much more complicated, much more murky than KOTOR 1. And you could play it without playing KOTOR 1, but you'd miss a lot of references.
Okay. Yeah, my problem with KOTOR 1 is I didn't like the it felt kind of like Dragon Age Origins gameplay wise.
They both are in that way. They're D&D style turn-based combat.
I did.
If you don't like the game,
I was looking for something that was more action oriented.
Yeah, the game it's
definitely it's turn
it's
based.
better if you level up more.
Yeah, and the thing is that there's a lot of fun bits about both games. Like the story, I liked overall the general concept of the story in the first game, especially like had a nice twist and all that shit. That was actually really nice.
Made the story great.
My main complaint about of KOTOR 1 was, all of the good or bad decisions you made throughout the entire damn game. Doesn't matter if you were all good or all bad, you could still flip on a dime with one choice at the end. It all boiled down to one choice, whether you.
That's why I liked That's what I liked about KOTOR 2 is that if you were evil, when you went to confront the Jedi Masters, like they would flat out be like, "Hey, I've seen you on the dark side.
Yeah.
Like you murdered people. Like I'm not gonna go with you. It's like I'm gonna force you to have to fight me here." They don't let you choose to be good, even though you're evil.
Yeah, and the thing is that now the difference though is one of my major complaints, and I understand this was a deliberate limitation on the system based upon the kind of role play system they were basing off of, which was a specific form of D&D, if I remember correctly. You're capped at level 20. The problem is, you ended up becoming good at optimizing this KOTOR 1. Essentially, you would try to get finished with the first segment with as few levels as possible. Like, you deliberately not level up, because after a certain prologue portion, you became a Jedi. And you wanted to spend as many levels as a Jedi as possible. Right. And that was because you were capped at 20. And I think the best I got was like 18 levels Jedi. So 2 levels is whatever the non-Jedi class I was.
That KOTOR 2 luckily was able to get around.
Well, KOTOR 2 had 2 things going for it. One, you start out as a Jedi. Yeah. And obviously, you want to go dark side because they have cookies. And you always want to get Force Storm as quickly as possible. I have 2 reasons for saying this. I have not tried this with the content restored. If they fix the glitch, I'm going to be upset if they did, because I love cheesing through.
It seems like they've brought Force Storm more in line with the restored content. Like, even running it on my dedicated disciple, or the companion, the one companion who becomes a Jedi counselor. Yeah. Running him with like really high wisdom with Force Storm, like it's still good, but it's nowhere near as broken as it was in vanilla.
Well, the thing is what I really enjoyed was going to Korriban, and there's just one particular room in Korriban.
Yeah, the infinite EXP. Oh, the restored content fixed that. It patched it. Yeah.
God damn it. Because that was the only legitimate way you could get to some really fun high levels.
I think doesn't it max at 30?
No,
it doesn't.
I was like,
it maxes
like
at 50
or something like that.
It maxes at 50. That's right. I usually finish the game around level 34, 35.
Yeah, legitimately, you never hit max cap. There's no way to hit max cap.
You're already overpowered as fuck by like level 30. Like, let's be honest.
Not even. Like level
I'm at
20.
level 21 and I'm already, I can already like tear through enemies. But most of my companions are Jedi.
I actually took one guy, like I had one class that was a counselor Sith Lord. I say those because those are subclasses of a consular. Sorry, consular Sith Lord.
Prestige classes.
Prestige class, that's it. It was insanely powerful. And then the other one was a Marauder who had a double-bladed lightsaber and was doing like 200 damage on each end. But let's not dwell on that one a little too much there. The other tidbit, the one that I really liked, was that they added in the age.
Yeah.
But in any case, so let's go ahead and get moved on. I think we've covered KOTOR enough.
But
Travis,
I don't get to talk about Uncharted.
We'll get to you later. You were late.
I know.
Travis, what games have you been
late.
playing?
My doorbell rang.
Travis.
Oh yeah. What about me?
What games have you been playing?
Still been grinding out Terraria because that game is very large. Been playing a little bit of Dota 2, feeling out the new patch. I'm not too big of a fan of it, and I haven't been happy with Valve lately, which we will discuss another week. What else have I been playing? I don't know, I've been really busy with girlfriend things, so
nice.
Yeah. Let's go to Kev, and I'll go through my memory and try to remember what I played this week.
You don't remember what you played this week? Come on now. What kind
No,
of
I've been
distractions.
Yeah,
I know, right?
So what have you been playing this week, Kev?
I've been playing. I got Bloodborne this week. I played about an hour of that.
Good.
It's fun, but it's a lot easier than I expected it to be. It's a lot easier than Dark Souls, at least thus far. But I've only played an hour.
It's a lot more frantic. And that's because there's no shields. Like, it's much more fast-paced.
Exactly. It rewards your aggression.
Yeah,
which
and
is great.
also the
That's
health.
how I died a lot in Dark Souls.
Yeah, and
because
also
I got too aggressive.
the health restore thing also. Like you're rewarded for trying to rush forward by getting health back.
Yep.
Yeah, it very much rewarded much more aggressive tactics.
Yep, and that's probably why I found it easy because Joe, we played it together,
Yeah.
and we saw I played Dark Souls very aggressively, and that's usually how I died was I got too aggressive.
You can
So
be
I
aggressive
like
in
that about
Dark Souls.
Bloodborne,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have the gameplay variety. I can already see that.
Mhm.
And other than that, I've been playing the Nathan Drake collection. That's been my main thing. I've been playing Uncharted 2.
All right.
Hmm. Interesting. And Travis, figure out anything else before we move on?
Oh no, I think I played Mountain a little bit, but I don't know if that can be considered a game.
It
That'll go into the whole what do we consider a game kind of thing.
it's a game. If you can play it, it's a game. People get too caught up in that silliness.
Well, you know what Mountain is, right, Kev?
No, I don't.
I don't know.
Um,
Is
for
it one
me,
of them games like Flower or like Journey?
uh, all right, Mountain is a funny 99-cent game on Steam, which has been described as a glorified wallpaper. Basically, what happens is you have this floating terrestrial mountain in the middle of space that over time changes. Like, things start appearing on the mountain, and the music it's really ambient, and it changes, and you're supposed to like leave it running, and you come back to it, and every time you come back, it's supposed to be changed a little bit, and it's I don't know, it's just like it's really abstract, and it's a very like artsy, make of it what you will kind of thing.
I guess my question on defining a game would: do you interact with it even on some basic level?
Yes, you can interact with the items that land on the mountain. You can sort of rearrange them and toss them off into the various spaces you will. There's you can type on your keyboard, and it'll play like piano notes, and certain combinations of piano notes that are like code, like old style cheat codes, will basically make things happen on the mountain. Like, you can make a blood rain happen on your mountain if you so be it.
So we've gone now from games with full gameplay to interactive movies. So this sounds like an interactive painting.
Well,
I mean, if we wanna
you do have
That's
clickers.
basically what it is. Yeah.
You
If
do
we
have
want to
those
talk about
clickers.
interactivity, I can bring up the visual novels. I mean,
Well,
that's
visual
literally
novels.
just
You also have the clicker machine that are or the clicker games, which are essentially you just click, literally you just click, and
Yeah.
that's it. And those are games.
That's all I do.
And like I said, if you interact with it on some basic level, I suppose, fine.
Oh yeah, I mean it's all about what you enjoy. Like there are people out there that love Candy Crush. I don't,
Ugh.
but I'm
Fuck
not
that
going to
company.
discount it and say, oh, it's not a game because it's not a game that I.
I wouldn't
play
even
or
complain about
game.
Candy Crush, but fuck King.com. Fuck.
I got it on sale for like 30 cents. So it's like like it's something else in my Steam library. Why not?
I'm still going to go back to you pay too much.
I guess probably. But
You pay
I
for
can get
interactive
down with
game.
that.
yeah, whatever. It's just like, 10 out of 10 would play this screensaver again, so whatever.
Wow, it's interactive screensaver now. Damn, I wasn't even going to go that far.
I mean, there's actually an application, there's a way that you can actually make it your screensaver if you so desire. So,
Seems legit.
which
So
is
let's-
actually pretty cool. Like,
Yeah.
whatever.
But let's go ahead and get moving on to our first story today. Which our first story kind of goes into what is a game. No, actually, it really doesn't. It has nothing to do whatsoever with what is a game. It's having to do with Alienware. And Alienware releases their first true Steam machine, which is launching alongside the already launched Alienware Alpha, which, for those not aware, brief summary of the products is they're essentially competition with standard consoles. They essentially are designed to be put in the living room, hooked up to a TV, and played like an Xbox or a PlayStation. The difference is of course, they both run Steam in a certain fashion, but the alpha is Windows based, and a actual true Steam machine is based off of Steam OS, which is off of Linux. The problem is of course the consoles have a very strong foothold in the living room market, we'll say. So my question on here posed to you guys is, given that the alpha already had rather poor adoption rates, do you think the actual proper Steam machine will, which has a smaller library than the alpha, do you think it'll do any better? And we'll go ahead and start this off with Kevin. What do you think?
I don't think it has anything to do with the alpha per se as much as it does with the Steam machines as a whole. Like, what are the Steam machines going to do? I think, the alpha is probably an excellent companion console. It's not something that, you're going to necessarily play everything on. Especially like if you like first-person shooters, you're not going to play that on a controller, not on a PC, which these essentially are. But I think, if you want to say, you want to play games at 60 frames a second, 1080p, especially if you want, cheaper multiplats, you don't want to have to worry about paying online for maybe co-op games. I think that's where these kind of sit in, and then, of course, the excellent library of Steam games, PC-only titles.
But here's the problem, is that the Linux Steam OS, does not have the full Steam library. That's
right.
where the alpha is kind of superior, is it's running Steam Big Picture. It's a modified version of Windows that essentially auto-launches Steam Big Picture when the alpha boots up. And that has the full Steam library, all of the games, obviously, that have controller support, because otherwise that would be silly, because it comes with a controller, not a keyboard and mouse. But
right. Well, you have the Steam controller too that couples like a keyboard and mouse. It's supposed to be an excellent replacement. Except for I hear the little touchpad. I hear is a little off.
Mm-hmm. Well,
what I want to see is, and I'm sure you've seen these, Morty. What I want to see is more modular type systems, and I can't remember what company did it. I think it was NVIDIA that did kind of like a modular port style system where you have these individual things that you plug into a base, and that allows relatively easy upgrading of, say, your hard drive and your graphics card and all that stuff. Each one was its own module that plugged into the base.
I remember seeing that, yeah.
I think that if that ever becomes
that was interesting,
much more affordable and able to be mass produced, I think that would revolutionize the more casual market. Because
I don't think the casual market wants to upgrade hardware, though.
Yeah, but that's something that you don't actually have to put any thought into. If you that's something that you can run on. It'd be just like upgrading a console. Like, you have, instead of buying a whole new console, you're just like, oh, I want to upgrade to the next level of performance for whatever games are coming out. So you just buy these modules and you plug them in. You take out the old ones, you send them back for probably a you send them back for what's it called? They do it with cell phones or whatever, a discount on the new modules, and you get the new ones and you upgrade.
That's an interesting concept. And I think this kind of goes into something else that actually I was thinking about when I saw this topic in the first place. Who are the Steam machines for? Because, we're coming up with all these different variable and ideas on how to improve the system. So it comes down to, who is it for? Like, there is no real market for anyone here.
Well, I mean, I think Steam machines might be in terms of like those people that are on consoles that don't know much about video games, but they know about PC market, but they know about Steam and all the great things that people say about Steam, and they're like, "Oh, I want to have Steam. How do I have Steam?" And they look it up.
Just because it doesn't have a market currently. It's something where I think it's because the market hasn't been created for yet. I think if something like this actually is implemented and done well, it could create a market for it. Because I believe there are people who want to have a chance to experience PC without the hassle. Who want to play from their couch.
My main complaint, what I will say, is that with the console market, I should say the living room market. We'll call it the living room market. The truth that I see on there is that when you get, Microsoft and Sony, and that's it, right? Okay, yeah, Nintendo barely. Although we don't want to mention their name too much because they might sue us and take down our stream.
Well, I mean, even when you bring that up too, I think a lot of people now when we're talking about consoles, a lot of people don't even consider Nintendo. It's Xbox and PS4.
Because Nintendo is its own thing. Like, the people who are going to buy Nintendo, and then they'll, some of them will buy other consoles.
Nintendo still focuses very heavily on Japan, so
maybe
it's kind of like what...
The thing I'm getting at is that you pretty much have two players in the living room market. And
in the West.
Yeah, in the West. Well, I mean, worldwide, it's
in
pretty
much
one contender in the living room, and that's Sony.
Everywhere that's not Japan.
But it's
PlayStation still owns Japan.
Yeah, PlayStation. So. You got to realize Sony's based out of Japan as well, and they actually still have most of the market in Japan.
Because Japan's weird.
But that's still riding. Yeah, but that's still riding off of the PlayStation 2, isn't it?
Well, the thing is,
the PlayStation 3 was way popular in Japan.
Yeah, well, the thing is, and here's the real crux of it is, I will always say that even if the Alpha or Steam machine, I prefer the Steam machine just because it's not Microsoft based. There's nothing that Microsoft has a hand in with the Steam machine, whereas the Alpha still is Windows based, and I believe it still uses an Xbox controller. So it's still kind of it's a slight derivation of an Xbox, right? I still like the idea of the Steam machine because it's yet a third party, or another, I shouldn't say a third party, another party in the living room that has some clout behind it, that has a library. That Ouya crap that came out, or however you say it, Ouya.
Ouya.
Yeah, Ouya, whatever it was. Trying to build its library, couldn't get developer support, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? Steam has developer support. It's got a library built up, so it's got something to offer. It's already got something established. The downside is, of course, obviously it's really hard to get your foot in the door in that living room market because people don't like too many options. They don't like complicated, and when they think, wait, this is a Linux-based operating system, oh, that's complicated because they don't know. And Linux is...
OS X is Linux. So is OS X.
No, it's
Nobody
not.
cares about OS X.
No, it's not. No.
OS X isn't built off Linux?
No, it's got a Linux, it's got a Unix core base structure to it, but after that, it kind of very drastically changes the further up the chain you go. It still uses some basic things, but we'll not get into OS X too much, because we also don't want Apple suing us, because they love to sue people almost as much as Nintendo does. But aside from that, the thing is, I don't know. I just like the idea of having more options in the living room. My problem is that the Steam machine being based off of Linux, there's still a very, very limited array or options on the list of games. So it's like you take what games Steam has, you cut it down to the portion that supports controllers. Then you cut that again for the controller-based games that are also supported on Linux, which is growing. It's just not huge.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to see more Linux support in games too, because we were talking about this before the show. I'd like to take my machine and maybe make it Linux-based.
Yeah, well, Linux has its benefits, but there is still, a lot of the issue with Linux is that sometimes you run into compatibility issues. So that's the kind of main concern is Microsoft has the operating system largely in hand unless you have an Apple machine, in which case, obviously Apple doesn't want you to use anything other than Apple, but it's still
Apple.
Yeah. But whenever game developers make a game, and this is the truth of any market you go to, they want the most widespread adoptability that they possibly can get. And doing that is Windows. Windows is, and especially now with Windows 10, because they're really strongly trying to push that Windows 10 gaming platform. I guess my problem is I want to see Steam Machine succeed. Alienware, they are definitely like the alpha. Was pretty good deal. I think that was sold at $500, which I thought was pretty damn good for a gaming machine, and it was decent for like its hardware specs was pretty damn good for what you were getting for $500. The Steam machine is $350, I think, right?
Well, there's several of them.
Yeah,
Like,
but it
somebody
starts at.
showed me by. Well, I was talking about yeah, they start there. I'm looking at one from Cyber Gaming. It had a i5 in it. It was 730, and it had a 960 in it. I think that's not bad.
Yeah, and that
8 gigs of RAM.
960 will handle. It will blow most the consoles out of the water. I mean, it's not.
Oh yeah,
be,
950 blows these consoles out of the water.
Yeah, unfortunately, but yeah, that's the truth. I guess the final thing I'd have to say on it is, if you're considering a console and you're not sure if you really like the corporate practices of Microsoft or Sony, then you should consider Dell, because Dell is not corrupt or a corporation at all.
I'm still gonna say, look at the cybergaming.com with the Steam Machine P. You can get it in black or white. I'm actually looking at the specs sheet right now. i5.
But does it have the fancy colors of Alien? I don't even know if the actual Steam Machine has their Alienware signature LED nonsense.
I don't think the Alienware one does not. It has the Steam one, and the Alpha does.
Yeah, because that's
I have an i5 processor with a 968 gigs of DDR3 RAM, 1 terabyte what you call a mechanical hard drive. Not bad. Not for 730. Not bad.
Like I said, for and that kind of we'll tie into that the price consciousness of that. We'll tie into that later. But for now, let's go into Joe's favorite topic of the day.
Microtransactions.
Yes, we'll talk about Overkill Software updated their prize success game Payday 2 with microtransactions. Now, microtransactions, as we debated last week, I don't think are necessarily bad. However, Overkill decided to implement the worst possible microtransactions you can, which is
It was how they implemented it, and also...
Yeah, well, I'll get to that part. Just give me 2 seconds. The whole, when you're playing a game, you get an item, you get a crate dropped as part of the loot, and then you have to purchase a key to unlock that. I hate that's shady as hell. But yes, then the most important part about it, and the reason why people are so pissed, is because Overkill, from multiple sources, multiple developers within Overkill, were adamant, years back, adamant that they would never, ever put microtransactions in their game. And then Joe also was pointing out some other things about the game as a result. And why don't you go ahead and talk about some of the changes to the game that resulted from them?
I'll just, real quick, to read it for someone. There was someone on the Reddit who kind of summed it up real quick. Because someone was asking, they found it. It was actually on the all page, like on the front page of Reddit, like the thread that was literally titled just "Fuck You, Overkill." It was on the top of Reddit for a little while there, on the all page of Reddit. And so they described it as the player base of Payday 2 had to kill or loot millions of things in-game to unlock free rewards during this Crime Fest event that they have each year. So it's supposed to be, the community's rewarded for going and getting people playing the game and getting a large amount of people playing the game. So they go and they do all these arbitrary objectives, and the reward they're given is the implementation of these microtransactions. Like, they were basically told, okay, here's your reward for all the shit you just did. You can pay for thrills to unlock these loot cases. And they're literally just skins for guns that also have stat bonuses attached to them. And not only that, it's
stat boosts?
It's RNG, because there's like legendary skins which give huge bonuses and just all this other shit.
If it was microtransactions for just skins, I don't think I would be as bothered by the whole RNG.
But it wouldn't be as bad.
But it's the fact that they also give stat bonuses, which thus introduces the pay-to-win idea.
Not only that, but also there's other facts that, like, just before they did this, to try and prevent people from being able to edit inventory, when add skins and such. For a long time, Payday's allowed people to use Lua scripts to basically create mods, different types of mods for the game. And some of the most popular ones were stuff like Hawk's HUD or Poco HUD, which allowed you to basically alter the heads-up display, the menus and such for the game. It gives you more information. Like it would change the hit markers and make them more noticeable. You'd have special markers for headshots. It would actually give you damage numbers telling you how much damage you did. All this revamped, stuff to the HUD. Well, they removed that all. So they broke all these mods so they can implement these damn loot crates. Not only that, they also changed the balance of all the weapons right before this. They've completely made mods far less meaningful than they've always been, so they killed a lot of the variety of the game, because mods no longer have as big an influence. They nerfed shotguns into the ground, they've buffed pistols to the OP levels, and it's just, all the shit that goes on top of, all the fact that this is a game you already pay for. They have DLC out the ass. Like, there's so much DLC for this game.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like they've said, like, they've had them, when the game was first coming out, articles were posted where there were interviews with the project lead where he flat out was like, we can't even fathom putting microtransactions into our game. And now here they are.
Well, and the thing is that it wasn't just the project, like the what's his name, the David Goldfarb, who was he was the lead designer for Payday 2. Was very known for publicly proclaiming his distaste. Well, Goldfarb is moved on, started his own thing. But there was also the guy or something like. There was another guy who was also publicly proclaiming, that. And the problem is of course a lot of those guys are gone. Heck, the co-founder of Overkill Software has moved on. So even the co-founders.
A lot of people blame it on their acquisition by Starbreeze Studios as a publisher.
So Travis, how do you feel about me having to eat my words about microtransactions?
I mean, we had disagreeing viewpoints, but you had good. Like, I think what it stems from is my innate distrust of these game companies, and the fact that I find that microtransactions they're kind of a symptom to an overwhelming problem that's only going to get worse as time goes on, with not just video games but a lot of markets. It seems like a lot of systems are kind of unraveling now, and microtransactions are just one of the symptoms in the games market of things becoming, costs relative to what people can actually pay are becoming skewed, right? So I can understand where you're coming from in terms of like a system that would work, things that companies are going to need to do to actually continue in the way that capitalism works today, infinite growth and all that good stuff. But I don't foresee it offering very much in terms of benefiting the consumer. And I'm somebody who really looks at a lot of things from a consumer standpoint rather than a company-centric standpoint.
I do have one thought on. We'll say something about is, and I'll post to you guys here. Do you think that even the idea of microtransactions entering the minds of Overkill developers, because I imagine that it wasn't just the lead guys that didn't like it. Do you guys think that it might have been partially due to the way they handled their DLC system with a very laissez-faire approach to it, where essentially like, hey, here's some microtransactions, but you really don't have to buy them? Do you think that might have, in the long run, encouraged some of the greedier elements within Overkill to push for microtransactions?
Are you talking about how they had DLC, or like you can play a new map as long as one of your friends had it in the party?
Well,
Which I'm like,
essentially, like if because Joe, let's be honest here, when we played Payday 2, Joe bought a lot of the DLC, and
yes.
I bought very little. In fact, I don't Yeah, I think I got a couple of it, but Joe had the largest portion of it.
I got a
I was
decent.
not encouraged to really buy any other DLC because, well, running with Joe, I get to experience pretty much all that content anyway. It's just a few guns I didn't get to play with.
Most of the DLC I bought was just for the guns, just to have access to all the guns.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah,
I mean, I think that might be part of it, but at the same time, that's kind of a hole that they dug themselves into. You don't punish your player base because of a business decision that you chose to make. You then make an even worse business decision. You know what I mean?
like what's even worse here is the fact that they decided to do it with Crime Fest, a thing where it's like they made people work for this and then gave microtransactions as a reward. Like they basically were like, "Hey, you did the event and did all this and got everyone playing to get the reward from Crime Fest. Here's the reward. Pay us money
Yeah.
to get skins." And then like it isn't just the microtransactions; it's how much it's messed with everything else in the game. And I will say this: a lot of people don't realize, but on the subreddit and a lot of the community, a lot of the veteran players were already having problems with overkill. It wasn't as unanimous as this, not by a long shot. But
This
resentment has been building for a while now. Like they've been pulling some stuff lately, and this was just like it all coming to a head. Like this was the most blatant, just anti-consumer thing, and Overkill hasn't said a word about it other than saying, "Hey, they released a condescending, damage control message where it was like, we've received your feedback, guys, and we're just so busy implementing new content for Crime Fest that we're gonna wait until Crime Fest is over and then we'll take a look at it, okay?" Like that's
Basically, fuck you. It's not worth our time.
Yeah, it was just it's just
pretty
a total
much-
disregard for their player base.
Exactly. It's pretty
Yeah,
much.
and what's funny is like when we all came into this game after the Steam Summer Sale last summer. We thought like, oh, this is such an amazing developer. We had so many good things to say about them. You look at it 6 months later, and now we're like, wow, you might be worse
a
than
week
EA.
ago, that most people would still be singing their praises. Like as many problems as some players had in the community, like this one event has just totally turned their community against them.
Right, like I'm done with the game. Like, I hadn't even played in a while. Now I have no intentions of even reinstalling it.
Like,
an alternative.
Most important player base, their veterans have completely.
Travis, what's the alternative?
An alternative. An alternative thing you can do, especially if you're a company such as what are the names again?
Overkill.
Overkill.
I'm thinking
Overkill.
the alternative is play Warframe.
If you're a company such as Overkill that has a lot of community support and is generally regarded rather highly, I think that like a crowdfunding / Kickstarter style thing is extraordinarily viable.
Yeah, they could have totally done a Patreon, because how much DLC content they were releasing.
Here's the thing: they are nowhere. Like people had gotten a hold of some of their financial stuff. They were in no need of this money. Like they are not some small studio.
Even regardless,
they've been bought out by a large publisher. They are not in any danger of.
Even regardless, I think that that like a Patreon, Kickstarter, crowdfunding campaign is like it's much better. It feels much better.
Frankly, they needed to not do anything. They needed to not gouge their consumers even more because they were making money on the game.
I'm with Major here because, like you said, people got a hold of the financials, and then you see the financials, like, why are you doing a Patreon?
Like, how much work? Profit. Yeah, how much work is it to do? Like their DLC is generally guns and masks.
Because
occasionally they'll have a new heist.
It's the nature of capitalism and human greed.
Got to make more profit.
Yeah, it's the nature of capitalism and human greed. It's simply. The system, it simply caters to that, and in some ways requires it.
Anti-consumer it all is. Like they completely shit on their community here. Like this wasn't even subtle. They were literally just like, open your mouth, guys, and then just
look at games and look at.
Look at CD Projekt Red and what they did with The Witcher 3.
Look at features that people want added to games and the amount of things that developers see on forums. There's all sorts of content that can be added and content that people want to have added. And when you have a game that has so much goodwill and has such diehard fans, you can say, hey guys, we we can add this content. Give us an incentive to add this content, like, at the same time, offer some like rewards, have it be like something that involves the community in it. And you can seriously get a lot of stuff done for guaranteed return that way with very, very little, if any, community fallout.
Yeah. The thing is, and this is kind of my major problem with the whole scenario, that first of all, like as Joe said, they really weren't hurting. There was if they really were trying to kind of get more money off the community, like I said, Patreon would have been a great way, because essentially they can get funded per DLC, and they can essentially have their DLC paid for without them having to spend a dime, which, for better or for worse, being greedy or whatever, they essentially get paid for their DLC, and that's straight up how it works. But my also major thing is, there is very clearly, regardless of the politics of it, there is a right way and a wrong way to do microtransactions. I kind of tend to point towards Perfect World and Perfect World Entertainment is the wrong way to do microtransactions, specifically in their two cryptic games that I've played, Neverwinter and Star Trek Online.
Yeah, the problem here is that it's not only, there's two things. It's, first of all, is the fact that they made it a reward for the Crime Fest. That was already just, what the fuck are you doing?
Right, we're going to reward you with microtransactions
if
for playing our
this, game. Yeah, if they'd implemented this and just a normal update and made this something different and not like a Crime Fest reward, and remove the stat boost from the skins. Have microtransactions for purely cosmetic skins for guns.
Yeah, that would be fine.
It probably wouldn't have ended up this way. It's just...
But here's the thing, though, is that, and I hate to keep pulling them into this, but unfortunately, they make such a great example, well, sometimes, of how to do certain things right, is when you sell cosmetics, you don't want RNG involved. RNG is horrible for cosmetics, which, there's a bunch of games.
RNG is horrible anyway.
The fact that it's an RNG crate, too.
I hate
RNG. So that's why I said...
On top of it all, they're like, go ahead and open up, you're gambling on DLC. You're gambling on pay-to-win.
That's where I say Perfect World Entertainment is the wrong example to follow, is because when you look at... one of the things I hate is when I load up a game, and there's other MMOs that have followed the example of Perfect World Entertainment. I believe Terra does it as well, where you load up this game, and what's the first freaking thing you see is you're running around, you're immersing yourself in your fantasy world, trying to get into your role play or whatever, and then you see pop up on the screen, generic user 059673001 has just unlocked this awesome item. And I'm like, I don't fucking care. If I was going to spend money on your damn unlicensed gambling, I would have done so already. You don't need to throw it in my face every damn time.
Speaking of unlicensed gambling,
them flashing stuff in your face like that. That's actually what turned me off on Guild Wars 2 when I tried the free-to-play model. It's okay, it's free-to-play. But every few seconds, I felt like it was just popping up. Buy the full version. They
Terra
don't offer me a free version.
Star Trek Online does it. Neverwinter does it.
Version.
And you know what?
They don't offer me a free version if you're going to spam me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, but here, look at it this way. There's RNG crates in Star Trek God damn it, Star Wars: The Old Republic. There's RNG crates all over the place in their pay store. And guess what? You wouldn't know about it unless you clicked on the damn store, because it never throws any of that shit in your face. I give kudos to BioWare. They probably make some good money off of those RNG crates. I'm pretty damn certain they do. And the thing is that, you don't have to throw it in my damn face. You don't have to ruin my immersion just to try to force, those damn microtransactions on me. I hate that. And pretty soon, guess what? Overkill's probably going to add that in the game. You're going to be in the middle of a match, getting ready to headshot some dude with a sniper rifle, and then right in the middle of your screen, MajorStupidity 09 has just gotten this awesome gun skin. Fuck that. Fuck that. Like, and yes, it's definitely unlicensed gambling. By definition, you are paying money, real money, for a
You know,
chance to gain a reward.
and Morty, I don't know why I just about called you Angie, but yeah, whatever.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I so apologize. I think that this is going. I personally think that this is going to be a big thing that shows up in court very, very soon. Valve is quite uh, guilty of it as well. They've been getting away with it for quite a few years now. Kind of skirting around with the legal jargon that they are the intent of what they're doing is gambling.
Yeah,
But legally, it's like using the legal wording, current legal wording. They can argue that it isn't.
well, like when you
So
look
I
at,
feel like it's going to come up in court very soon for probably specifically Valve, but
well,
maybe
no,
it's going to come up with another company.
the
I
thing
feel there's
is
going to be
that
laws changed.
you've had people like Total Biscuit, who has openly admitted that he's kind of a whale for Perfect World. He spent a ton of their money in Star Trek Online, which, by the way, is actually a nice game. It's actually a pretty damn good game put together. So is Neverwinter. I actually think they're solid. I just can't get over the damn microtransaction systems in those games. They're horrible. And it's all Perfect World's fault because I've played Neverwinter before Perfect World got involved. And I talked to people that play Star Trek Online before, because essentially Perfect World Entertainment bought Cryptic Studios, who made those two games. And I played Neverwinter before they got involved and talked to people that played Star Trek before they got involved. And they said it was a very similar game. And it was so much better because you didn't have the crummy, payment microtransactions in. And I completely agree. And the problem is Perfect World probably will have a very difficult time seeing any repercussions and getting any legal action because the parent company of Perfect World Entertainment, which is called Perfect World, is in China. And specifically, they're in China and they're not in one of China's special economic zones. I'm not going to get in that terribly much, but quick summary, China being, having government-owned business in most of the areas as specific areas called special economic zones where essentially capitalism is allowed to exist, as capitalism normal. Outside of those zones, government technically owns everything, and Perfect World is technically government-owned in China, which means it's really hard to make any kind of real legal repercussions against them from like a civil system in the United States or in the European Union. It's just not going to happen. So if Valve they go after Valve, that would be an easier target because as far as I'm aware, they're U.S. based.
Yeah, they're based in Seattle.
Yeah, so they're based in the United States, so they could fall under that. Somebody needs to go after one of these guys. I wish I had the money to afford a good lawyer because I could take care of some of the gray area with Let's Plays on YouTube, so that way YouTube could have a little bit more backbone in defending their partners, and then go after some of these guys for illegal gambling, because there's no other way that you can see this. And they get away with it because a lot of the people that are in the
there's a lot of lawsuits I would actually go into in this world if I had the money.
This
No,
is
I
starting
wouldn't
to
sue
sound like the
everybody.
problem with the tort law system.
I
Sue
wouldn't
everybody.
sue everybody.
The problem I
would
think
sue the
we're
people
gonna
that
come down.
need to be sued.
What's that,
Not
Kev?
for
What
my
it's going to come down to, though, too, is also the legal system really doesn't take gaming or gamers, for that matter, seriously.
Yep.
So even if we did try to come up with some kind of, lawsuit or something, who's to say it's not just going to get brushed to the side or ignored?
Shout out to Esports Express, by the way.
Thought you guys would like that.
Yeah. But anyway, let's go ahead and get moving on. We'll go ahead and get moving on to our next story. I think we fairly well expressed our distaste of that. And now for a little bit of a I see what you did there.
Levels of fuck Konami.
Yep. Fuck Overkill. Fuck Konami. Hashtags.
Fuck Starbreeze.
Starbreeze.
Publisher.
Yep. But let's get like more to a kind of a more PSA type story here. So Kate Edwards, who's the executive director for the International Gaming Development Association, some such like that, IDGA or IGDA. I can't remember what it stands for. It's essentially a kind of, you could almost call it like a awareness group for developers. And essentially, she's been going on kind of a campaign to raise awareness about the poor work conditions of a lot of developers in the games industry. And this kind of comes on the tail of, like, again, SAG, I believe last week we were talking about the Screen Actors Guild raising awareness for the poor work conditions of voice actors in video games. So do you guys think that literally working in the gaming industry is that bad? Like, no, obviously it's not all game developers, but there are a lot, especially for the big studios.
There has been a long time problem that it really came up with EA, but it kind of, like, as EA kind of slinked back into the shadows as the evil empire tends to do.
Forget about us for a little bit, guys. We'll hang back a little.
EA was excited last year when Ubisoft was catching all that shit. Like, good, stop talking about us.
Basically, this has been a thing for a long time. It is still a thing, especially during a certain portion of games development called crunch time, where these developers will work ridiculous, like worse than retail store manager level work weeks.
You're talking 70 to 90 hour work weeks, oftentimes with no paid overtime.
At least, basically. And I feel that horrible. It's not always that bad.
Sounds legit.
But it often is. More often than should be comfortable for our society.
From my experience in certain similar fields, I can say this much. In coding in general, not games development, but in program development in general, and software development, crunch time, you always have a deadline. When you're working with software, you always have a deadline.
Right.
That's part of the shtick is we want to launch this program on this date. We have these steps we have to achieve by these certain phases of the development process to keep things on track. Now, there's typically is a crunch time at some degree or another for all of these. And that's kind of a thing that's standardized. The difference is, from some of the people that I'm, know that are software engineers, some of them get horribly underpaid. And if you're listening to this, you know who I'm talking about. If you are listening to this podcast, you need to get the hell into a job that pays you what you're worth, goddammit. Anyway, aside from that, they usually get paid damn good, 6 figures, around that for a good development job. And they'll get overtime if they have to work. They usually don't. They usually can take their damn work home with them and work at the comfort of their own couch whenever they want. As long as they meet their deadline. If they have to work overtime, it's usually because they fucked off in the early stages of the development, or someone else fucked off in the early stages of the development.
Which often happens, by the way.
It does.
We've talked about misplacement or misallocation of resources in AAA developers before.
Misallocations. Somebody went on a. I might call. Somebody went on a vacation.
I was gonna say we lost Kev. Thank God. I'm kidding.
I know, right?
We're saved.
Sorry, I was busy playing my potato station. Sorry.
Oh yeah, you're playing video games during the podcast. All right. So someone want to go ahead and kick Kev out of the call?
Come on, guys. I was running Terraria, and you guys gave me crap about it. So.
Yep. You guys know the rules.
Shout out to Jeremy, because remember we gave him crap for playing Rocket League like 2 weeks straight.
Yeah, he was sitting there playing Rocket League and he'd be quiet for like most of the podcast, and we'd be like, "What do you think, Jeremy?" And he'd be like, "What?"
To be fair, I was only doing it during Kev and Joe's rants, in which I was not taking any part in.
Well,
Yeah,
you
You
should.
should have taken part. Participate.
See, I take that time to like eat snacks or whatever. I'm just like, all right, go, let Joe loose, and I'm gonna go take a break. I'll be back in 20 minutes.
You can go take a shower, come back.
And then you're like, and then
It's
Joe's
okay.
like, and then you get back on, and Joe's like, meh, and you're like, yes, I know he's done. But in any case, though, I guess the big thing is that a lot of people, and you go into gaming forums, and this is a misconception. Like, there's a lot of indie studios that have become independent. By the way, in case anybody didn't know, that's what indie means, independent. A lot of those studios went independent to kind of shuck the overlords, such as EA or Activision, those type of people that impose ridiculous deadlines on them. We've seen countless examples of games that were rushed out the door because publishers, impose strict guidelines on them. Oh, we were just talking about KOTOR 2. Perfect example.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that was.
Do you realize the development of that game started? I looked it up July 2003. It was released December 2004. Less than 18 months.
Jesus, that's
God.
so bad.
That's worse than New Vegas.
Yeah.
Where again, Obsidian had 18 months to develop the game.
I don't know if they make that guarantee to the publisher, like, we can make the game in 18 months. It's like,
No, I think the publisher wants them to. Like, New Vegas, I was always weird about that one because it's like Fallout 3 came out 2008. It's like Bethesda knew they were going to release Skyrim. Like, they were planning on it probably around 2011. What I'm wondering is why didn't they just release Skyrim 2011 and then release New Vegas like 2013 or like 2012? Because that was the only reason New Vegas was rushed out the door, was so that it didn't steal the thunder of Skyrim.
yeah. And the thing is that when you have publishers that are kind of imposing ridiculous restrictions, though,
Damn Skyrim.
the developer, like the executives in the development studio, are like, you guys better crack ass and be here, for 48-hour work days. And when I mean 48 hours, I mean as in you're working 48 hours of a 24-hour period. Yes, I'm meaning that as silly exaggeration of you don't sleep, you don't eat, you work.
Yeah.
And a lot of
You mean
people,
paid slavery?
yeah, I think a lot of people have this misconception that developers, are all like Google or Microsoft developers that are getting paid $200,000 a year and work in cushy environments and take a slide, a little colorful slide into their break room. Yes, Google, I know what your break room looks like. A lot of people think that that's all developers, and in fact, that's very
It's
few.
not.
The true
It's
evil
very few.
empire is run on rainbows and unicorns.
Yeah.
Google is
Just, just because Google's all about the little hats with propellers on them doesn't mean that everybody is.
Facts.
But the thing is that I don't know. I think that from the consumer side of it, you go on to gaming forums, and I guess this is the point I was getting to before. You see like people just screaming at developers, and unfortunately, that's mostly BSN. Yes, I'm looking at you guys on the BSN forum that are complaining and bitching all the time.
Oh,
Not
that's every game.
No,
Man. I've seen
not
it in
every
so
game.
many different
You
games.
go now.
That's so many games.
There's so many games that are like that.
I like the BSN for Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, well, there's
yes.
still
Oh, yeah,
still a
I
lot
love
of.
I love BSN for Mass Effect.
For the multiplayer, not the single player. The single player was full of people who were going nuts over the story. But
Yeah, but
Well,
that was
People
the
are still
internet in
crying.
general. That was the
Multiplayer-
entire internet.
Yeah,
All right.
BSN
That was-
has had a historical
Yeah,
problem
but
of
BSN
being
still has people
poisonous.
complaining about the ending. Nobody else talked about the ending almost 4 years later, but people on BSN.
Yeah,
no.
but
You should see the characters. Like I remember there was at one point some of the character threads, like the romance threads, got shut down because people were so adamantly like fighting over who was the proper romance choice.
oh my.
I'm not even joking.
Oh
There was a
my.
proper
There's-
romance choice.
I wonder if they. I've never looked it up. I wonder if they
thread
did
actually
that on
got shut.
Inquisition.
My
I don't
time
know, I've
zone
still
is the
Mass Effect
best
3,
time
but it
zone.
was
Mountain
like-
time or bust.
Everyone else on BSN was just like, "Holy shit! What did you guys do?"
Yeah, but the thing is there's a lot of forums that that you'll go to and you'll see people just trashing developers, and I don't just mean hey, I'm upset because this feature of a game is not working. I wish you guys would do this. No, it's you guys suck because I don't care. You guys suck and you should go die somewhere. Like just outrightly like trashing the developers. And it's like, you gotta realize most of these guys are like, working countless hours. Like, shout out to I think his name's Luke Barrett from BioWare. I guarantee you that guy was working 70-hour work weeks to try to pull Inquisition back into the daylight, and all the other guys over there that I know worked shit tons of hours to try to get that game working and actually try to bring some life back into it after.
You mean the multiplayer?
Yeah, like after it died.
It's sad because the multiplayer, it's just there were fundamental flaws there that I don't think they could ever really fix without revamping the whole system.
There were, and the thing is Luke Barrett came really late into the game. He was not there to start with, and it was kind of like he was the cavalry. Like, I'm not even kidding. Things were so bad.
Reinforcements are here, and it's basically the entire battlefield's just a crater already.
Yeah,
he's like,
exactly.
What the fuck? What am I reinforcing?
There was like at that point they had lost 80% of the multiplayer player base, and I definitely give kudos. Like even the few developers that you could tell were stretched beyond their means, trying to wrangle in what was going on BSN during the bad months of Inquisition's multiplayer. They were not equipped for BSN on a bad day.
No.
There was some.
Yeah, BSN, for as awesome as it can be extremely toxic.
Yeah.
The reason is because I'll tell you right now, BioWare fans I've noticed in general tend to be extremely passionate about BioWare.
Well, when you
have and Nintendo fans.
Well, Nintendo fans are like BioWare makes really emotionally driven games.
Yeah.
That's one of their keystones, making emotionally driven games. Well, what kind of players are going to want emotionally driven games? Emotional people. Let's be honest.
I tend not to be that emotional, and I like emotionally driven stuff to a point.
Yeah, you're not emotional at all, Joe. You don't spend most of our podcasts ranting at all.
I don't. You guys exactly. But anyway, to quote Jesse Cox, it's like, I bitch because I care.
Oh, I know.
Right.
Like, these people complain usually because they care.
If we didn't care about video games, we wouldn't be doing this damn podcast.
Yeah, I'm talking about, like,
because I know, talking to Kev, it's you have to limit
watch your paint dry.
Yeah, no, it's something it's an acquired
putting
taste.
the bullet to your head when you talk to me.
And I know that these guys wouldn't want to sit here and listen to me talk for an hour and a half, and them trying to get an edge in word wise, and then I'm like, nope, stop talking. That's actually not what happens.
Wait, edge in word wise?
Edge in word wise. Welcome to Burvillistexia. That's what happens when you drink alcohol on a stream. Actually, I'm not, but I should. Everybody should.
Yeah, we should have a drinking episode.
Right, that would be great. Except it would. Although we get tons of viewers, I guarantee you. Just put drunken pixels.
Drunken podcast. Yeah.
I don't drink, so
I'll
be the straight
I
man
like
with the insanity.
Yeah,
I drink a little bit, but like mostly socially, so it probably wouldn't go well.
This is a social podcast. Come on.
Yeah,
well, I mean, I'll probably have like
I'll
a beer or two on Thanksgiving. That'll probably be the next time I have something to drink.
Oh, good times.
Let's go and change gears for a minute. And let me typing that up. And let's go to our evergreen topic for the day. Our evergreen topic for the day brought to you by the sponsor that wishes they could sponsor this podcast and give us money. Anyway.
We're not going to sponsor by Xbox because Xbox is the best box.
No, don't give them free advertising. You gotta pay money for that shit. Anyway, so our evergreen topic this week is gaming on a budget. Because a lot of us gamers do not have endless budgets to afford TB's, $2,000 or $5,000 computer or whatever it is with Titan X's and 20,000 50-inch TV monitors and whatnot. So essentially, like the kind of where we want to go on there is, how does one go about enjoying games and their gaming habit without spending large amounts of money? And we're just kind of going to go around the room and give our kind of tips and thoughts on that. We'll start with Travis, who definitely games on a budget with his high-end gaming
Laptop.
thing.
Potato.
I don't even know what's in my laptop offhand, so
It's a potato toaster hybrid.
yeah, it's actually very rare, I
It folds his laundry.
I'm actually I am waiting until the holiday season to try and find some deals. Personally, I'm gonna try to set my budget around $1,000, probably maybe go a little bit higher than that. That's a bit much for some people, but I'm single with no children and living with my parents, so I can afford this kind of thing.
So what's the kind of the like concept with that strict budget? How do you kind of go about prioritizing and figuring out what you're going? Like, say it was $500,000. The money cap is not necessarily important. It's how do you go about budgeting?
Like, what am I basing my budget off of? Like,
Yes.
really, I think when you're looking at a budget for a gaming PC, you need to look both at what you currently want, like, what games are on your list right now that you want to play that your machine cannot handle. So you use that as a baseline, and then you bump it up a little bit in terms of what do I think is going to come out in the next couple of years. What do I think my capabilities are going to need to be in the soon future. Map out a little bit how far you want to try to take your machine. Future proofing is something that isn't 100%.
Future proofing is not real.
Yeah, it's not real. It's okay. It's real in a sense, but it's not like something you should really go for. Your machine's going to last for a certain amount of time, depending on how long you're willing to put up with it, and how fast the technology progresses, right? And that's very difficult to predict, especially nowadays.
Right. That's why, to me, I'm saying like future proofing isn't a real thing. Like, if future proofing was a real thing, then a 680 would still be like a monster of a card, and it's not anymore.
But so
but
essentially,
it
it's kind
was,
of you're planning out what games that your computer can run, and kind of looking for those to come on sale, and essentially if they
like
don't.
one of the games that I bought recently is like the Metro Reduxes, and I want to be able to play those on high settings, right? That's something I like to be able to do.
Good luck. So do I, and I have a 970.
I mean, not maxed, but decent settings, right?
So
Yeah.
So Joe, like when you're looking at gaming on a budget and you have limited funds. So what's kind of some of the ideas that you go by when you're trying to keep the check on the wallet, so to
Make sure your PC has adequate cooling and setup so that your parts don't break down quickly, so they'll actually last longer. Wait for sales. Don't pre-order. Be used to you're not going to be buying stuff day one, so you just got to live with it.
them sales. So Kev, what about you?
Well, actually, I have a lot of different thoughts on this. One, it depends on what you play on. Like, I'm looking at this as like, okay, you're coming from a PlayStation 3, you're coming from an Xbox 360. Where do you want to play? What kind of games do you want to play? Where are you going to find the best deals? Like shopping online, I would say even try the Best Buy Gamers Club Unlocked. Yeah, it's $30 for 2 years, but then you get 20% off new games. And if you buy a lot of games, that pays for itself really quick.
Physical content.
Well, I still think physical content I still think is very relevant on a console. Obviously, yeah, for computers, yeah, we're beyond that. If you're on a PC and you're building a new PC, I say look at the games you want to play. Like, are you just gonna be playing like CS:GO and Dota, or are you gonna be playing AAA games? How important is max settings to you? How important is resolution to you? Like put that money into the graphics card and then kind of go down from there. If you're a guy like Joe who doesn't care as much about graphics but frame rate, you might
That's
be able to
not
get
true.
away with saving. You've said it a bunch of times. You care more about frame rate than your
There's
graphics.
also
I still
certain
care about
things.
graphics, just
There's
not
also
much.
certain games in certain genres that take up, different things like, Minecraft.
If you're gonna play
Has
a
different.
lot of Minecraft, you might
You
want to
hit
get a
that
better
CPU. Hit the
CPU.
Yeah,
CPU.
like
Exactly.
heavily modded Minecraft is like CPU and you need good RAM.
Mhm.
Things like that.
I was gonna say
Well,
one
go
thing is
ahead.
make sure when you're starting out, get a decently large tower. Like, don't skimp on the tower because you want to have room when if you
To
ever
grow.
decide you
Well,
want to start
you don't have
upgrading.
to spend a lot to get a good sized tower.
Oh yeah, like
Mhm.
I got a really
Or
large one for like
or
$40 that gives me
you could
plenty of room.
future proof your tower needs and buy an entire metal shop and just fabricate your own.
Yes,
See,
that's
towers actually are something that should last a while though. But the point I was trying to make though was about graphics cards.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to say, like, if you're somebody, and I was using Joe as an example.
especially newer
Joe
ones are
doesn't,
very
as long
large.
as Joe has the frame rate he wants, I don't think he cares as much about the graphics.
Yeah.
To a point.
Well,
Right. So you don't necessarily need to run out and get like a 980 Ti when say
I'm on a
like a
760
670
and
or a
I'm still getting what I
770
want.
will get you, the frame rate you want. Versus me, I like graphics. I like
yeah.
graphics. I like frame rate too, but I like graphics. So for
This
me,
is the
I need some more power. What's up?
premier future proof tower in the chat right now.
Yeah. So I just want to throw it out there to kind of steer it back onto rather than being just a graphics discussion entirely. One of my biggest tips that I always say when you're gaming on a budget, and something I've lived by, because I don't have a huge amount of money to spend on gaming, I pick and choose very carefully the games I actually purchase. Thing free to play. It's not always a scam. You're not always going to get crappy
Go play
games. In fact,
Warframe.
yeah, you like Warframe's a good example. Warframe's on all of the damn
Team
consoles
Fortress
too.
2.
It's on Xbox One, it's on PS4, it's on PC. You know, but that's a good example. Kev, did you have
Team Fortress
another
2.
thing that you wanted to throw in there?
Well, no, it was more so that the point I was trying to get to. It kept getting pulled everywhere else, but it was figure out, kind of like what's important to you, what you're prioritizing are you, what genres of games do you play? Like if you play like, for example, like Souls games, those things aren't demanding at all. So when you're building a rig or something like that, you look at where's that
Well,
come or where are
Dark
you going to
Souls
put your money at.
1 runs like crap no matter what system you
Well, I mean,
Well,
it depends.
runs like crap is debatable. Like you say, 30 frames per second is running like crap.
No,
I think
it
as
had
long as it's
problems even at
consistent.
it had problems even on a high end system running at 30.
It depends on whether or not you want to go into Blighttown, right? Like
Uh,
that's you just base
no,
your
Dark Souls
entire
2 had a really
build
good
off of
PC port.
that.
Yeah, Dark Souls 2 was a great PC
It
port.
ran very stable.
Yeah, it was very stable. But
Back
that was
on
my point though. It's
topic.
like you have to look at what you want to play. And my point is like when you build a PC is don't overbuy. And
Yeah.
also watch for sales. Like I am always looking at sales. I live on Humble Bundle, Green Man Gaming. I like the last game I paid $60 for was Watch Dogs. Even with my consoles, I don't pay $60 for games anymore.
Mhm.
There's too many deals out there going on Amazon, like they're using Best Buy. Best Buy price matches everything. I just got Until Dawn the other day for $30. I got Bloodborne for $30. I think I paid 35 for the Nathan Drake collection. It's just about finding those deals. You got to know where to look.
Yeah, and that's another point that I would look at there is that and this is the same thing whenever buying a PC. One of the things if you're gonna buy a PC, yes, if you do not have the time to put together a PC, by all means, you can find some decently priced gaming rigs from multiple different builders. But in all honesty, you're gonna get the most price for bang for your buck building your own, and they're not hard. They're very easy to put together
Mhm.
computer anymore. And using resources like PCPartPicker.com is great because essentially you can aggregate all the PC parts needed for your computer into one little nice neat list, and then have it essentially find the lowest price depending on the retailers that you shop at. I pretty much have like Newegg and Amazon, for example, selected as mine, and essentially we'll find out if there's any deals going on, sales or whatever with those sites, and it will show you the lowest price. And essentially, you don't have to buy your whole PC at once. You know, whenever I did it, I kind of spread it over some time, waited for sales. I got my $200 graphics card, it was $180 graphics card for $130. I got $150 CPU for $120. Not necessarily a huge amount of sales.
Oh man!
When you're trying to shop on a budget, every little dollar you can save really makes the difference. And that's
exactly. When I got my 970, I saved $70 price matching at Best Buy because I found one on Amazon and they price matched it.
Yep.
You guys should look at this. I'm gonna post in the Skype chat real quick.
Well, that's fine. Anyway, so come on.
No, it's
Joe.
about Payday 2.
It's about Payday 2. We're off that top.
This is a new thing. This is just recently. They found even more stuff. Like someone was data mining, checking the game code. Found references to even more.
Let's take the topic. We don't want to lose the audience because they can't see this.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of that'll be something afterwards. We can discuss that all you want, Joe.
More pay to win.
But in any case, though, yeah, I think it's a major thing that, like I said, definitely don't discount free-to-play games because they have some great extended playability. When you're talking, like I said, Warframe's a good example, but there are other options out there. There are plenty of free-to-play titles that have great content to them. I believe Smite. Smite is on all the consoles now too, I believe, or is it just on Xbox?
No, it's only on Xbox.
Okay,
only on Xbox.
But it's on PC and Xbox One. That's free to play.
Let's not forget Blizzard's been going the free-to-play route with Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, and soon they're going to be doing the Overwatch beta.
Yeah, and those are all actually great, solid titles. I mean, it's different depending on what you want to play. If you want a shooter, there's actually some good free-to-play shooters out there.
Black Labor Retribution.
Team Fortress 2 still has a huge player base.
Team Fortress 2. You also have that one that we played a while back, Dirty Bomb.
Dirty Bomb is really good.
And there's so many good titles, no matter what your tastes are. If you don't have the money to buy the newest Call of Duty or whatever, that doesn't matter. You still have options. There's still players on them.
And what's cool too is if it's a good game like Battlefield 4, there are still new people buying Battlefield 4, and there's still like 20-something thousand people playing it every day. You can get that game for dirt cheap now.
Man, Call of Duty 4 had such a large player base for such a long time. It was
but towards the end it was all modders and hackers on it.
Yeah, but that's fine.
There's a lot on there too on PC now.
Yeah,
I was playing it on PC and they're still there.
Yeah, but the thing is that free-to-play titles, definitely don't discount them just because they're free. All that means is there's no barrier to entry for you. You can try it without any risk, and I highly recommend that. And the second thing, kind of carrying off what Kev was saying,
I just thought of another one.
You have a lot of sales going on all over the place. Yes, obviously, Steam has their epic summer sale and their epic winter sale now. That you can get some damn good deals on stuff. Green Man Gaming as well. I got Elder Scrolls Online for was it $8 or something like that on Green Man Gaming on a sale. And I was like, I can't really refuse that.
Also,
Best Buy had some good deals last year too for Black Friday. I remember those.
And then now,
GameStop every year has their I think it's 3 for $5 or 5 for 3 or whatever on Black Friday at GameStop for used games.
Yeah.
So there are great deals out there. I live on Amazon.
There's also Sony's PlayStation Store and Xbox Live Store also now have their own versions of kind of the Steam sales, like their flash sales going on.
They're not very good though. Those aren't very good, honestly. They're about the same price as used games.
Yeah, but you're still saving you some here and there. The big one on there, though, is that with PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live Gold, you get the free games with Gold. Sometimes they're not great games, but heck, I never bought Assassin's Creed 4. I never bought the new Thief, the Thief 4. I never bought some of those actual great titles. Got them for free from Xbox Live Gold. The games with Gold on my 360. Got to experience those games. Yeah, they were old at that point, but who cares? They're still good games.
Yep.
They were still actually solid, and I had a lot of fun playing them. You know,
And the 360 in particular gets some great games every
that's
month.
because a lot
Like,
of the titles on those are fairly old. And Xbox One,
yeah, but
as their library expands, you'll see better games with gold on there. It's definitely something that you get your money's worth out of your gold subscription.
right, but I
Um,
don't think that as much with the PS3. Like I watch both of them. I have both consoles, obviously, and when I see the ones with the PS3, I'm not as impressed as I am with the ones on the 360.
hmm.
And the PS4 for a while had some great titles, and then they kind of whittled down. I think because they got all the big titles early on the PS4, and now they're doing the lesser titles, kind of like what the Xbox is doing now. But now the Xbox One is starting to get like really good months. Like they were giving out Tomb Raider last month.
Yeah, I
Right
got
now they're
Tomb
giving
Raider
out
as well, free on games with gold too, and
mhm.
you know that was definitely well worth it. You know,
Oh yeah.
I would have bought the game had I had the money at the time when it came out, but still getting to experience that. I'd forgotten about the game and saw it on Games with Gold, and I was like, hell yes.
Oh yeah.
Now, Joe,
Then
you said
there's
you had another point you thought of.
Oh, I was just gonna bring up if for another free to play game that's really good that has a really good monetary system. If you like Diablo, 2 style games, action RPG, Path of Exile,
Path of Exile. Yeah, I've played that one.
very good.
I've jumped through.
I didn't try that one. I tried Marvel Heroes, and I really liked the Marvel Heroes. I tried to get Joe on it. I don't
I
think Joe
think,
was too into it though.
yeah,
Path of Exile is very to Diablo 2
yeah,
like.
it's very, very classic. It has the very classic kind of feeling. It's very kind of dark atmosphere. Has some really. I haven't played too much of it, but I've heard from a lot of people that it has a really intricate class setup. Its business model is actually extremely fair. Like a lot of what you pay for is a lot of kind of extra stuff that you don't really need.
I
Like
played.
I
Yeah, let's put it this way. I played about 6 hours of 6 to 10 hours of Path of Exile. I didn't even know I couldn't even find microtransactions.
yeah,
You know, that's
it's
how their
it's
their
harder for me to
systems.
play action RPGs. Like I tend to get a little bored of playing them, but I know if you like those types of games, Path of Exile is very good, and it's
My
free,
problem
completely free to
was
play.
is that the field of view was kind of like their isometric setup was a little wonky.
Yeah,
Like I was trying to play a ranged class and I couldn't really see enemies until I was right on
I
top
will
of them.
bring up. It's one of the few games that actually has a necromancer that will literally just have like an army of undead following her around,
True.
and it's not even a dedicated necromancer; it's like a witch class.
That's pretty cool. But let's go
Well, I'm
ahead.
down on that.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get wrapped up here, and we'll kind of get closed down for the night. So, go ahead and give our final thoughts there, Travis. Any final thoughts for us?
Final thoughts.
Basically said no.
I don't know. Why don't you have me go last so that I can think this over? Maybe I'll find something.
Okay, I can go ahead and give Joe's final thoughts. Hashtag fuck overkill. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
And Konami.
Well, that, but also, this is a good time to be playing some classic games after playing KOTOR 2. It's like the Knights of the Old Republic games are still great. Like if they have some technical limitations, but they are still some very excellent games. If you haven't played them, they're worth checking out.
Hmm.
All right, and you, Kev?
Everybody knows me, Kev the Gamer. Like I said, during this holiday season, look for deals. Look for deals everywhere. Stop paying $60 for games. You
Stop
don't have to.
pre-ordering.
Just I'm not even against pre-ordering if you're already going to get the game. We had that discussion last week.
Yep.
I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with pre-ordering if that's what you want.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, find the best deals that you can everywhere. Download The Walking Dead. I was gonna bring that up, but you guys started talking about something else. The Walking Dead season 1 is free right now on the Xbox, both Xboxes, the 360 and the One. Download that. Season 1 is phenomenal if you haven't played it. Other than that, I am waiting for episode 6 of Game of Thrones. They're doing Tales from the Borderlands, and Life is Strange comes out this week, so I'm going to be busy, and I'm mad that it's midterm, so I don't have time to play as many games as I want.
First world problems.
I know, right?
All right, Travis.
My final thoughts. I just realized how much I want a full-scale Star Wars dancing game, not just
Dancing. See, the
Yeah.
rest of us want the Star Wars shooter, but we want it to be more like the old Star Wars shooter, not the new
I
one.
want the Star Wars RPG in the vein of Knights of the Old Republic.
It's like the one
PC
that
shooter that I can
exists.
get Joe to play. A
I
good
want one
competitive
that-
Oh,
PC
not an
shooter.
MMO, not free to play.
I want the one that exists in the Xbox Star Wars Kinect game. The
Where's my
last
KOTOR
game
3?
that came out. The last game that came out under LucasArts. There was a mini game that was basically a Star Wars reskin of the other Kinect dancing game. But no, I want like a dance
Aren't all
revolution.
Kinect games technically dancing games? I mean, you're standing there waving at the damn Kinect.
That's actually
Yeah.
a really, really good point there, Kev. I like that a lot.
I usually make good points, but y'all don't listen.
And on that note,
Uh-huh.
praise
Anyway,
Gabe.
let's not. So in
I'm
any
not praising
case,
him this week.
in any case, you guys all know me. I'm Angelus de Mortiel. That's Mortiel. In case you're watching on Kev's channel and you haven't come check me out already. Wait, you're on Kev's channel? Why are you there?
This
Anyway.
channel is amazing.
I'm about halfway through my Warframe Apocalypsis build series. If you haven't checked that already, I'm definitely very, very proud with what I've done so far and look forward to making the last 2 videos of that. So definitely check those out and let me know what you think of them. Obviously on the podcast here, if you had anything that you didn't get to say live, or if you're watching this after the fact, definitely leave us a comment and let us know what you think of the podcast, what you thought about our thoughts, and how much of a console peasant that Kev is.
And share with a friend. Please share the podcast with friends. It really does help.
Yes, definitely share it around and get the word spread about the Pixel Crashers. God,
You want to
was
spread
probably
that
a horrible
PCP.
advertising line.
Come on, give all your friends the gift of PCP this holiday season.
PC.
Love it.
And
Fallout.
For
And
anybody
Fallout.
who thought that we
Fallout's here
didn't
in
know
22
the
days.
reference, we know. You all love the PCP. Chirp, chirp. Anyway, we'll go ahead and let's go ahead and get signed off for the night here. And once again, we will catch you all next week on the Pixel Crash podcast.
I didn't even try.
He'll wait a couple weeks and then suddenly do it.